Have you ever come face to face with a predator that could take your life in an instant? In today's episode of Savage Tales Animal Encounters, we dive deep into the gripping and miraculous survival story of Rodney Fox, the legendary white shark whisperer. Imagine being dragged to the depths of the ocean by a massive great white shark, fighting for your life and living to tell the tale. Then, instead of letting fear define him, Rodney dedicated his life to protecting the very predator that nearly killed him. This isn't just a story of survival. It's a story of transformation, passion, and saving a species that most people fear. Join us as we explore the awe-inspiring journey of this Australian icon. Trust me, you won't want to miss a second of this heart-pounding adventure. Welcome to another thrilling episode of Savage Tales, Animal Encounters. If you're fascinated by the wild world of animals, intense real-life survival stories, and the incredible bond between humans and nature, then you're in the right place. On this channel, we dive deep into the untold stories of animal encounters, from heroic survival tales to life-changing missions dedicated to preserving endangered species. Today, we bring you one of the most jaw-dropping survival stories in the world of sharks. Meet Rodney Fox, the ultimate survivor and now a passionate shark conservationist. Back in 1963, Rodney was attacked by a great white shark during a spearfishing competition, leaving him with injuries so severe they were considered near fatal. But instead of fearing sharks, he came to understand them, and now he's dedicated his life to protecting them. His story is one of courage, resilience, and a love for the ocean that has inspired people across the globe. So, if you want to experience a tale that will take your breath away and change the way you see sharks forever, stick around until the end. You won't regret it. Before we jump into this incredible journey, don't forget to show some love for Savage Tales Animal Encounters. Hit that like button if you're as captivated by animal encounters as we are, and share this video with your friends who love heart-pounding survival stories and awe-inspiring wildlife moments. We want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us your thoughts about Rodney's remarkable survival story and his incredible work in shark conservation. Have you ever had an unforgettable animal encounter of your own? Share your story with us. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to Savage Tales Animal Encounters so you never miss out on the next jaw-dropping story we've got lined up. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so you're the first to know when new videos drop. We're always bringing you closer to the wild side of nature. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the wildest, most inspiring animal encounters only here on Savage Tales Animal Encounters. Savage Tales Animal Encounters, where the wild comes to life. It was the summer of 1963. And Rodney Fox, a passionate spearfisher and avid ocean enthusiast, was participating in the South Australian Spearfishing Championship off the coast of Aldinga Bay. Rodney had been immersed in the ocean for most of his life, growing up along the pristine shores of the Australian coastline, developing a deep understanding and respect for the marine life that called it home. His connection to the water was almost second nature, and he was well accustomed to the dangers and beauty of the deep blue. But on this particular day, everything was about to change. Rodney, along with several other competitors, had spent hours in the water searching for the perfect catch. The waters around Aldinga Bay were well known for their rich marine life, including schools of fish, rays, and the occasional visit from the majestic great white sharks that cruised the deeper waters. Though these predators were an ever-present possibility in these waters, Rodney had always prided himself on his knowledge of the ocean and his ability to navigate it with a sense of calm. His years of experience had taught him the patterns of marine life and the general behavior of sharks, which made him feel confident as he dove deeper into the waters that day. The sun shone brightly overhead, casting shimmering beams of light across the ocean's surface. Below, the world was a deep, cool blue, with shadows flickering as schools of fish darted by. Rodney descended into the water, his spear gun ready in hand, searching for his next catch. The silence of the underwater world enveloped him, broken only by the rhythmic sound of his breathing through the snorkel and the occasional flick of a fishtail. For Rodney, This was a tranquil, almost meditative experience, a true connection with nature. As he swam further from the safety of the boat and the other divers, Rodney found himself in a deeper part of the bay. He was focused on his hunt, gliding smoothly through the water, scanning the ocean floor. His heart raced with excitement at the prospect of a good catch, but his mind remained sharp, aware of the potential dangers lurking in the shadows. Great white sharks were known to inhabit the area, but Rodney had seen them before, even swum alongside them in more peaceful encounters. He had always maintained a deep respect for them, understanding that sharks were not mindless killers, but creatures that deserved respect and protection. However, today, something felt different. As Rodney continued to dive, he noticed the eerie silence of the water had changed. It felt as though the rhythm of the ocean had altered slightly, the vibrations in the water shifting in a way that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. It was subtle at first, but Rodney, with his years of experience, could sense that something was not right. The fish that had once swum gracefully around him had seemingly vanished, and the water felt unusually still. For a moment, Rodney paused and scanned the depths below. The shadows seemed deeper than usual, and the light filtering through the surface above no longer gave him the same sense of visibility. Something was off. He had encountered sharks before. He knew the signs, the way the water felt when they were near. His instincts were telling him to be cautious, to be aware. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught his eye. It was a shadow larger than any fish he had seen before, and it moved swiftly and silently, cutting through the water with eerie precision. Rodney's heart began to race. The instinctive fear of the predator was immediate, but it was also tempered with a deep sense of understanding. This wasn't just any shadow. He knew instinctively that this was a great white shark. The realization hit him hard. There was no mistake now. It was not a matter of if, but when the encounter would happen. Rodney's thoughts raced as he slowly backed away, trying not to make any sudden movements that might provoke the predator. The great white was known for its intelligence, and Rodney knew that any erratic behavior could make him a target. He felt the weight of the situation settling in. The shark was huge, perhaps one of the largest he had ever encountered. Its body glided with an unnerving grace, almost as if it was stalking him. There was no sign of aggression yet, no sudden movements. The shark seemed to be sizing him up, observing from the darkness below. Rodney had swum alongside sharks before, and he understood the importance of remaining calm, of not panicking. He tried to stay as still as possible, his hand gripping the spear gun in front of him, trying to maintain a non-threatening posture. But the presence of the predator was undeniable, and the tension in the water grew thicker with each passing second. Then, without warning, the great white made its move. As Rodney braced himself, the world seemed to slow down. The great white shark, with its immense size and unparalleled speed, shot forward through the water like a missile, its massive jaws gaping wide. The attack was so sudden, so forceful, that Rodney barely had time to process what was happening before the shark was on him. The first thing Rodney felt was the immense pressure on his leg. The shark's powerful jaws clamped down with bone-crushing force, sinking deep into his thigh. The pain was instant, searing and overwhelming. It was unlike any injury he had ever felt before, sharp, hot and relentless. The shark's teeth, as long as kitchen knives, pierced through his wetsuit, his skin and the muscle beneath, tearing through flesh with terrifying ease. The sound of the shark's jaws closing echoed in Rodney's ears, drowning out everything else in the water. The force of the bite sent Rodney spinning through the water, disoriented and panicked. He could feel the shark's grip tightening as it twisted its body, trying to drag him into the depths. Every second felt like an eternity as Rodney fought against the predator's strength, his heart pounding in his chest. His instinct screamed at him to survive, to escape, but his body was overwhelmed by the shock of the attack. He fought with everything he had left, swinging the spear gun in front of him, hoping to ward the shark off. The shark, however, seemed unfazed. It was as if it was toying with him, testing him, waiting for the right moment to strike again. Its eyes, cold and unblinking, watched him from inches away, its massive body hovering just beneath him like a silent predator. It was impossible to outrun, impossible to outmuscle. Rodney's breath came in shallow gasps, each one more difficult than the last. The pain in his leg was excruciating, but he knew he couldn't give up. The thought of being dragged into the depths, of being taken by this mighty creature, filled him with a terror unlike anything he had ever known. His mind raced, searching for any way out of this nightmare. But the shark was relentless. With his remaining strength, Rodney managed to push himself away from the shark, swimming as fast as he could toward the surface. The water around him was thick with blood, his blood. The shark's jaws had left deep, ragged wounds that bled freely, and Rodney's movements grew slower, more sluggish with each passing second. The pain was unbearable, and he could feel his body weakening from the blood loss. His thoughts became fuzzy as he struggled to stay conscious, his vision blurring at the edges. But survival instincts kicked in. Rodney focused on the light above, the glimmer of hope that promised escape. The surface of the water was just within reach, but the shark wasn't done. Rodney heard the unmistakable sound of a splash behind him, the predator closing in once again, and the fear surged within him like an electric shock. He kicked harder, pushing against the water, trying to summon the strength to break free. Just as the shark was about to strike again, something incredible happened. A loud, violent disturbance erupted from the surface of the water. The roar of an engine cut through the water like a lifeline. Rodney's heart skipped a beat as he realized the boat and its crew had heard the commotion. A nearby diver had seen the blood trail, and the boat raced toward him at full speed, driven by desperation and the hope of rescuing Rodney from the jaws of death. The great white, sensing the sudden intrusion, hesitated. It turned away, disappearing into the depths, its hunger unsatisfied for the moment. Rodney, barely conscious and on the verge of collapse, was quickly pulled aboard the boat by the rescuers. As they hauled him out of the water, the cold air and the surge of adrenaline hit him like a wave. His leg, mauled and mangled, was a gruesome sight, torn to shreds, the flesh hanging in tatters, blood soaking his wetsuit. Rodney's body went into shock as the boat sped back toward the shore, the cries of the crew filled with urgency. He could feel his strength slipping away, his limbs growing heavy, but he clung to consciousness, knowing that survival depended on it. The ride back to shore felt like an eternity. Every jolt of the boat sent waves of agony through Rodney's battered body. His thoughts were fragmented, the world around him slipping in and out of focus. He could barely comprehend what had just happened, the savage, brutal attack, the pain, the terror. He could hear the voices of the crew, but they seemed distant, muffled, like they were coming from another world. When the boat finally reached the shore, paramedics were waiting. Rodney was rushed to the hospital, his wounds treated with urgency as doctors worked to stop the bleeding and stabilize him. Despite the severity of his injuries, Rodney's will to survive never faltered. He had faced death, and he had fought back, clinging to life with everything he had. The aftermath of the attack was brutal. Rodney's leg would never be the same. The damage was severe, and his recovery would take months, perhaps even years. The trauma, both physical and psychological, would haunt him for the rest of his life. But through it all, Rodney never lost his love for the ocean. The attack had not broken him. Instead, it had reaffirmed his passion for marine life and his respect for the predators that ruled the seas. Rodney would go on to become an advocate for shark conservation, using his experience to educate others about the misunderstood nature of these creatures. His story, though terrifying, became a testament to human resilience and the unyielding spirit to survive in the face of the deadliest of threats. The attack had been one of the most harrowing moments of his life, but it also marked the beginning of a new chapter, one where he dedicated himself to both protecting the sharks and ensuring that future encounters, whether with predators or humans, would be understood with a deeper respect for the delicate balance of nature. Thank you so much for joining us on this heart-stopping adventure. Rodney's survival story is a true testament to the strength of the human spirit and the unpredictable power of nature. It's not just about the encounter itself, but about the lessons we learn from these incredible creatures that share our oceans. We hope you found this experience as captivating and thrilling as we did. If you enjoyed this jaw-dropping tale, be sure to hit that like button and share this video with your friends who would love to witness these savage encounters firsthand. Have any thoughts or questions? Drop them in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you and continue the conversation on all things wildlife. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the bell so you never miss an epic story from the wild. Each week we bring you closer to the fierce and majestic animals that roam the earth in our series Savage Tales, Animal Encounters. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and always remember to respect the wild. This is Savage Tales, Animal Encounters, and we'll see you in the next video. Stay savage, my friends.